I am so sorry, guys, but it's okay. I've come back from the dead. I'm back now. I think. Anyways, KK1 Johnny, since the start of when I was power scaling, was always a very heavily debated character. I mean, my boy went from, I think, season 1 level to above season 5 to again below season 1 and 2, and yeah, you know. It's safe to say this guy's power level is very inconsistent on all fronts, and it's still highly debated on where he places. So today I just want to make this video on giving my personal opinion on where he scales and open the floor for discussion. Anyways, screw the long intro, let's get into it. To start off, we have to address the old arguments. People used to put the Karate Kid era kids way above the Cobra Kai kids because of their AP. Now, I don't have the calcs anymore, but people think KK1 Johnny and KK2 Chosen were scaled all the way up to like high season 5 with their AP. Although, if you notice, I don't really argue AP anymore, and nobody really argues AP anymore, because I personally don't think it matters too much. Especially because all the kids should scale to each other in AP anyways, and it only really matters when you focus on things like adult versus kids, where you could argue the AP gap actually matters. But that's a topic for a different video. So, in short, this video is just purely going to be about skill. So, I have mentioned this statement before, but Kreese states that KK1 Johnny had the potential to be in the Sekai Taikai. This statement is super important as it highlights something we always thought was super vague, which was Johnny's potential and skills, since the only person he actually fought was an injured Daniel. Now, I also want to point out another thing, that is the argument of Robbie knowing everything the Karate Kid era kids knew by the end of season 1, which I can't find the statement exactly, but I'm sure you've heard this argument before. Even though Robbie arguably knows this stuff, which is still super contentious because he doesn't know about the drum in season 2 when Sam shows him, and Daniel, being the traditional ass he is, would definitely teach the drum technique with the drum technique. Also, Daniel is the only character to have ever added a counterpunch to his drum technique, as well as use kata in the most efficient way in my opinion. So I think the thing about Robbie knowing everything by the end of season 1 is highly blown out of proportion. And he may know it, but there's nothing showing he is as good as, I don't know, say Daniel. This is not saying Robbie doesn't have crazy potential, because he does learn the two-legged kick, but I don't believe this alone puts him above the KK kids, because I believe it's more of an agility thing, but that's up to you. This automatically disproves the argument of him being season 1 level, like the statement from Kreese, as well as the Robbie thing being blown very out of proportion, as I don't think you could argue that anybody then had Sekai Taikai potential. And to address this statement from Johnny quickly about Miguel having the potential to be better than he ever was, I personally think that this is about personality and morals, not so much about skill. Since the context to this scene is after Miguel fought Dirty, I just don't see season 2 Miguel having Sekai Taikai potential either, when season 4 Miguel only fared up in the All Valley. Miguel had the potential to be better than he ever was, but I don't really believe he ever actually reached that level until like very later on, which we will talk about. Skipping forward to season 5, all kids in there may have had quote-unquote Sekai Taikai potential as they were competing to qualify for it. But the thing is, Mike here says that the season 6 part 1 kids would not survive a round in the Sekai Taikai, meaning while they definitely had the potential to go, they probably weren't there yet, and would definitely lose their first few rounds. I mentioned this because Gunther confirms that the Sekai Taikai used to be more brutal than in the modern day, so you could argue for Johnny's era it was harder to qualify for the Sekai Taikai, which makes Kreese's statement hold even more power. Although this argument is honestly kind of reaching, and I'm not going to use it like for anything, purely just because I think it's reaching a little bit. By the time season 6 part 1 ends, we know that guys like Robbie can fare up to Quan, which I don't think Johnny can do. So he had the potential, but I don't think Johnny could have made it past the semifinal. The Kreese statement alone would honestly put him above season 3 and 4, but I'd say he stops somewhere in mid-tier season 5, as all the kids there now have Sekai Taikai potential. I mean, they qualified for it, and guys like Miguel and Robbie clearly have the highest potential out of the entire dojo. So I doubt he would get past them. Although if you really want to argue Johnny's era was tougher, you could say he beats season 5 into like early to mid season 6 part 1, but I still think that's stretching it a bit. In conclusion, KK1 Johnny is not as weak as you think. Sure, he was low-key a clown in the movies, but the Kreese statement has me believing that he wasn't as much of a jobber as we thought. My conclusion is he would scale up to mid season 5, probably stopping at like Tori. And by the way, if you ask, yes, this does upscale KK2 Chosen and Daniel and Mike Barnes because they're all stronger than Johnny. Anyways guys, that's all I got for today. Eat your greens, stay healthy, I'll try not to die next time, and I'll see y'all next time. Peace.